had a couple people who have asked, because our recordings the last couple months haven't worked. So they're like, hey, where are these recordings? And so I'm just double checking to make sure that it is recording and then uploading it to YouTube for anyone who wants to review this for some reason. So anyway, welcome to the February Principals Coffee. Appreciate you guys taking some time to be here. We also have some special guests. Becky, who isn't so special because she usually is here as our school board rep. Wasn't able to make the January meeting, but she is here representing the school board, probably has some information about the upcoming levy or bond, and she is leading the bond effort. So I'm sure she is intimately aware of some of the details for that. And then we're really fortunate to have our IB coordinator and science teacher, former fourth place in state, head volleyball coach, now retired, Brooke Mayo. She is joining us for a couple of reasons. One, she's in the admin program, so she's just doing some observations on what us principals do from time to time. But also as our IB coordinator, she has some IB information to share regarding forecasting that's upcoming and potential information night that's also upcoming. And then the opportunity for you guys, if you have any questions about our IB program or MYP program for that matter, and the personal projects that were due this week for our 10th graders. So, and then just open it up to any other questions that you guys might have. In terms of an update from my end, our second semester is off to a great start. The first semester, we're looking at data regarding grades right now. So we currently have the information from the district related to kids and classes and what the grade breakdown is, A, B, C's, and D's. You are probably acutely aware that we're also not recording F's any longer. Instead, we have an incomplete or an N for no grade. And so we're also looking at those numbers, comparing them internally, but also comparing them from school to school. So we're seeing at the high school level, what do our numbers look like for kids who are receiving N's and I's connected to what do other schools giving? And I can tell you, we are, if not the lowest, we are close to the lowest amount of N's or I's of the other comprehensive high schools. So that's good. That means that our teachers are working really hard individually with students to get them passing. And those kids who are getting an N or an I are then needing to make up that credit somehow. And that credit might be an incomplete contract with the teacher. It might be having to take summer school classes, or in some cases retake a future class. So our data looks pretty good related to other schools, and we're going to continue to work with staff on how does that affect them, their workload, and how do we make sure students understand kind of what the implications are when you get an N or an I. So we have that information. Our winter seasons are wrapping up, so we have a one, I think swimming districts was last week. We have state tomorrow. We have wrestling district tomorrow. Our basketball seasons are wrapping up next week in terms of regular season, and then we go in the playoffs the next week. So that's really exciting. All of our teams are doing really well. Monday, we open up spectators. So basically, we get to go 50% capacity next week, which honestly is, we never get close to 50% capacity in our gym. So it basically means anyone who wants to come can come. So we're excited to have a pep band, even if it be for 2 games, but a pep band and a full student section, hopefully for our 2 senior nights, because our girls team plays Tuesday, their senior night. Our boys team is Thursday next week. And then we'll host at least 1 playoff game the following week. So the hope is to have band here for that and a full student section as well. So, and then spring sports starts up, I think next week, maybe, or maybe sooner. I don't know. It's just crazy how fast the year is going and what's happening. And our musical opens in 2 weeks, I believe. And so that's another really cool marker. And we're excited to, we have been 2 years. In fact, when the pandemic hit, the stage was set up for the musical at the time, which was it Noises Off, I think? No, Into the Woods maybe. It was set up like a ghost town for months after the pandemic, and orchestra pit and sheet music. It was really bizarre, but so we're excited to bring the musical back in a couple weeks. So with that, Becky, do you want to talk a little bit about board level issues and or the upcoming bond?
I would. Thank you so much, Todd. Not only is what I'd like to share with you a little bit of news about the bond and what it may mean to you as a voter and as a parent, but also a very important thing that's happening in our district right now is the school board are finding a new superintendent. Our current superintendent, Don Grotting, announced at the beginning of the school year that he would be retiring at the end of this school year. We knew when we hired him 5 years ago that this would be his last stop. And so now we're in the process of hiring a new superintendent. And it's probably one of the most important things the school board does, because this person is the chief executive officer of our district and sets the vision and the tone. And there's been a lot of things that with COVID that we've not been able to do, such as a strategic plan and just kind of reacting. So we're looking forward to having a new superintendent. I believe we'll be naming in probably mid to late March who that new superintendent will be. So that's one thing the school board is doing. And then on Tuesday night, we had a special board meeting and we voted to turn to a bond that will go on the May ballot. This has been 2 years in the making. And those of you that have been in the district anytime at all know that in 2014, we approved a bond, and that bond created Mountainside High School. And so in this bond, two of the main projects that we're proposing is a new Beaverton High School. Beaverton High School was built in 1915. There are parts of it that are very, very old. It's been remodeled over the years, but very, very old. And we need to, for safety reasons, there's just no need to keep putting money into repairing things when it really just needs to be built from the ground up. So that's the main project in this bond. And then the second project is a new Raleigh Hills Elementary. And Raleigh Hills Elementary is about 80 years old and has been remodeled several times. And so that will be two. And then we're going to be doing seismic upgrades on 5 of our middle schools. We're going to be doing new technology, new Chromebooks. We are so glad that we had the last bond and that we had one-on-one devices with all of our high school students and most of our middle school students. So when we did go to CDL, we didn't have to go through what a lot of districts did of having to buy them and put them in the hands. Our district already had them in the hands. So now they need to be upgraded. And another main thing that's in this bond is maintenance, deferred maintenance. We have about $1 billion in deferred maintenance. We have 54 schools. We have 60 buildings altogether, and deferred maintenance is a major, that means new roofs, that means new HVAC systems, it means new windows, it means new boiler. I mean, you name it. And there's no way we're going to have $1 billion in this bond. This bond is $723 million. It's going to be a 25-cent increase so that we will have enough money to do all the projects in this 7-year bond that will be going out. So happy you can go onto our website, the district website. It breaks them down per school. I think it's pretty obvious to say Mountainside is not going to have too many things in this because it is a fairly new school, but we will be getting new Chromebooks and some just regular upgrades sort of things. But if you have younger children that go to Highland, we're going to be doing seismic and a new stage there. And we're going to also be doing things, but you can go to our website and see everything with every school that's in this bond. We have a frequently asked questions, but I will be talking more to you about it as we get closer to May, but happy to answer any questions and really, really appreciate how much our local community invests in our schools and supports our schools, and would appreciate everybody voting yes on yes for Beaverton schools. So thank you, Todd, for the time.
And I would add, our kids, other than the new Chromebooks, and obviously we're a brand new school, 5 years old now, actually, but while we may not benefit directly from physical updates to the building, our kids will benefit from the fact that all of the other high schools in the bond are receiving turf fields. Did you mention that part?
I did not, because it depends on where I am that those are popular or not, so.
Right, and obviously we have all turf fields, so we benefit from that. But what it allows is for our teams who go play other Metro League schools will now have the ability to play at those sites on turf field on a consistent surface. Because right now, I mean, being the former principal at Southridge, those fields out there are terrible. And so it puts you at a competitive disadvantage. But it also means oftentimes they're unplayable. Baseball season, the outfield could be unplayable at times. And so we were actually hosting a lot of games here on our campus from other schools, if we could, because of the drainage situations on those other fields. So our kids will be able to benefit from the fact that other schools will have those turf fields as well. And that'll allow for a competitive advantage that's equalized across the district too. Are there any questions about the bond? You can advocate, right? I can't, right? Are we at that point?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
But I'm sure Becky's happy to take any questions. I know you're going to be meeting. Are you meeting with Impact too about this in the future?
I think we decided, because I'm happy to come to Impact anytime, but I think we decided that because I do come to these coffees and stuff, that maybe it would be a repeat, but happy to come to Impact.
Okay, feel free to put questions in the chat, and that should be an opportunity for me to also post in the chat the roll sheet that I use, so that I know who's attending, and also an opportunity for you to, if you're not comfortable asking a question in the chat or verbally, put it in the document, and then I do get back to people. If I see there's a question that maybe it's specific to you and your student, then I do email you back and try to answer whatever question you may have. So I just linked that in the chat. So with that, Brooke's here. Brooke, and I just sort of put her on the spot because she called me like 5 minutes before and reminded me she'd be in this meeting because I had forgotten. I said, oh, great, since you're here, why don't you talk about IB? And I'm not sure how many of your kids, those of you who are on this call, are in IB. Currently, all of our kids will take IB as juniors in one of the INS classes, but we're actually expanding IB so that all of our juniors are also going to be taking IB Lang and Lit starting next year. So, and that's a teacher decision. They are recognizing that the IB curriculum is accessible to all students and that there's tremendous benefit from our students all taking IB versus having only small portions of our student population taking IB classes. So we have a couple changes coming up that way that'll be part of forecasting, but Brooke, maybe you can talk a little bit about the overview of IB and then what's coming with forecasting and any questions folks might have.
Sure, thanks, Todd. So just as a kind of a recap, in grades 9 and 10, we have the MYP, which is our middle years program, and those classes are to kind of scaffold and help develop the skills for students then moving into the DP or diploma program classes in grades 11 and 12. And so we talk a lot about IB classes, and sometimes you hear a lot about credit bearing classes for college. We really try to promote that kids are getting more than that. They're getting skills that are going to help them in their next step after high school. So that whether that's with jobs and having the writing skills, going to college and having those study skills, critical thinking skills. So I think there in the past sometimes has been this thought about it's just for college credit, and we are really trying to articulate to our students and our community about all the benefits of taking these advanced classes. And we want to make sure that all of our students are having those opportunities to develop those skills. And if they are interested in then testing in those classes and getting college credit. So like Todd said, the English department has decided to adapt IB Lang and Lit for all, or adopt it for juniors. And it's a very accessible class. They're working this spring and summer on making sure that they have the proper scaffolds in place and all the supports to make sure that all of our students are successful in those classes. So we're really excited about that. And that's a move. A lot of schools in Oregon and Washington are trying to get to more IB for all classes and making sure that all of our students have opportunities to those advanced courses. And I am going to be holding a IB information night. And so this would be for parents and students of, it's mainly directed at 10th grade, but 9th grade parents and students could come as well, just to learn more about the different opportunities with grades 11 and 12 and IB diploma level classes. And so all of this is going to come out in the March MAV Express. So there'll be that information night. We're going to be talking a lot in advisory and in actually science classes. Rebecca Bear, assistant principal, and I are going to be going into all of the chemistry, 10th grade chemistry classes, just to inform students about the opportunities of forecasting for IB, DP classes, what they're like. We're going to bring students in so they can hear from students who are in those classes to learn more about it and ask them questions, because really they want to know what it's like from a student's perspective. And then March 16th for students who are interested in the full IB diploma program, which means that they take all of their courses at that level. There's an advisory information session on March 16th for 9th and 10th graders. Again, all of this information will be in the MAV Express. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So Melissa in the chat asked, her headphones went out, about no lit and comp classes anymore next year. No, they're IB Lang and Lit classes. So what we've discovered, I think we had 2/3 of the sections of all of our English classes junior year were IB Lang and Lit. So only a couple were not. And so now we're going to move to all IB Lang and Lit. So that's junior year. Senior year, kids can continue into IB Lang and Lit year 2, or they could take a couple different elective options, or we have a senior lit class as well. But junior lit is going to be all IB. And they're going to we're going to scaffold for kids who might struggle, but it's different. I mean, I think a lot of us grew up in an AP system where it's a lot of memorization, and it's very different. The curriculum is very accessible. They really, Lang and Lit brings in a lot of media. So it's not just reading big novels and writing long papers. It's about exploring media content as well as part of Lang and Lit. And so we think it's a really, it's proven to be a very engaging class for kids at all levels. And I think it's fascinating for us as a school, as we still are in our, toddler stages at 5 years old, that the teachers are feeling like this curriculum is accessible for all kids, and why would we limit it? Why would only certain kids be able to take these classes? And so we now have IB GLOPO, as well as IB Econ and IB World Religions at the junior level for social studies. IB Math, you're right, about the question around IB Math AI is also basically takes the place of AGS 3. So kids are taking an IB Math class. And then now they'll have a third class with IB Lang and Lit. So not only is that a weighted grade for all those kids, it looks really good on transcripts as they go, to their next steps as well. But we realize that some kids may need some scaffolding and support to be successful, and our teachers are committed to making that happen too. I miss anything, Brooke?
No, I think that's great. And I think, another thing is sometimes students opt out because they think that they can't handle an IB DP class. So we're really trying to change that perspective. And again, it's different than AP. Also, there are different IB classes in English. So there is an IB literature class that some schools offer, and we're Lang and Lit, which is a little more accessible, like Todd said. So there's differences in those classes, and different schools sometimes offer different, they all offer different classes at the IB level, but you may hear about this IB literature class, which is different than the one that we offer. But really just trying to support our students. And we've been looking at the numbers and what students are opting out and how can we support all of our students. So we're really excited about it.
This is actually going to be the first year that we've had for those students who are going to test in IB coming up in May. This is the first year we've actually been able to test. So it's going to be really interesting to see how well the kids do, how prepared they are, because the first year we were able to was pandemic year 1, 2020. So we didn't test, and last year IB didn't test either. So this will be the first group of students to test, and that will be not all kids test. So even if they're going into these various IB for all classes, doesn't mean they have to test. They may choose to, but they don't have to. But it'll give us a good indicator of how prepared our kids are once we get through the test this spring.
And Todd, there was a question in the chat about science curriculum, which I can speak to. I teach IB biology and IB chemistry. We're not making any changes to the science curriculum, the science pathways. I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, but I think we're not offering IB design tech.
Right.
Moving forward, and that was just a conflict with our CTE program. But the science pathways are staying the same as far as students need to take a year of physics, chemistry, and biology. And there are options for IB at all of those levels as well. So no changes with that. And then can I answer the next question was about specific things ninth graders need to think about next year with forecasting to prepare for their junior year. So I think if students are interested in taking some or all IB classes as a junior, then students and parents definitely should come to the March 14th and March 16th sessions that we're going to be holding.
We don't know if they're going to be virtual or in person yet, right?
We don't know yet, right? I am going to put in the Mav Express a screencast that we did last year, and it's just information for parents and students about different options. I also will be having meetings with students who are interested in a full diploma starting in March, so they can schedule a meeting with me. And if ninth graders are interested, let's say in the full diploma, and they want to make sure they're forecasting sophomore year, then they can set up an appointment with me and we can make sure that they're on the right path.
But to your point about ninth grade, that's one of the reasons why we chose MYP as our structure at the 9-10 level. Is in theory, IB then becomes a 6-12, even though our feeder middle schools are not MYP. But at the 9th and 10th grade level, there's no better preparation for students to be either taking IB classes or full IB diploma candidate than being in an MYP school. The idea that we're infusing the learner profile traits throughout all of our classes, the personal project. I don't know if any of you have 10th graders, but at the 10th grade level, all of our 10th graders through advisory do a personal project, which is essentially a passion project, something they're interested in learning about and sharing. On Tuesday, we have a staff development day, and the entire day will be the entire staff assessing those personal projects. And we've only been able to do it one other time because of the pandemic. And it was really cool to sit down with colleagues and just look at students and what they're learning about and excited about. And there's all sorts of different topics out there, from learning how to play guitar to, I had one student do a video about depression and her journey through depression. And then students who learn how to cook something. I mean, it's all over the place and it's really cool. We're going to use it as a celebratory day for our staff to look at students and what they're excited about. But that's also a piece of the MYP project, and embedded in that are some of the concepts of IB as well. So there's really nothing that students need to do at the 9th or 10th grade level to be prepared for IB. We've made it so that students should be prepared just by taking our classes. We don't have prerequisites per se, where they have to have a teacher sign off and say, yes, they're ready for IB. If a kid and a parent say, I want to take an IB class, we're going to let them take an IB class. That's sort of our philosophy, instead of gatekeeping and saying, like a teacher saying, no, you shouldn't move on to the next level. And what we found by that is our, one, it's sort of like a rising tide floating all boats, right? Our engagement with kids in classes. We have heterogeneous classes by and large. So, other than math, they're not homogeneously grouped by ability level, which means you have a lot of different learning levels in a classroom. Makes it sometimes hard on teachers to accommodate all that, but kids see kind of learning happening at different rates and speeds, and the idea is to create that community feel for all of our students.
And can I just add one other kind of plug for this move, Todd, is that just this week I've been looking at our number of seniors. I've been looking at data about how many seniors are not taking IB classes. So again, they've all taken at least one junior year, most one or two. And then there's lots of options for them to continue on with some of those classes or take new classes. And out of our senior class, and I think it's 344. I have to look at that final number, but I know only 81 students are not taking an IB class their senior year. And so that's optional for them. So I think that speaks to, students may think that they can't do an IB class, and then they take these classes their junior year, and then they realize they can be successful, they are beneficial, and they're choosing then their senior year to continue on. So I think that speaks volumes, but we're still looking at how can we capture some of those students, and I'm going to start having some meetings and just get information with those students as well.
Tiffany's asking a good question. What percentage of high schoolers graduate with a full IB diploma? I assume you mean here at Mountainside. Brooke, you probably have that number, yeah?
Yeah, so we have 45 current seniors who are completing the full diploma program. So they take their tests. That means that they take 6 classes, IB classes. They complete a 4,000 word extended essay, which they spend a year working on that. And then they complete some creativity, activity, and service experiences over 18 months. And so, yeah, this is our largest group, 45. And I'm really proud of them because they started last year in CDL, which was tough. And they've continued on. So, and then we have about 42 current juniors who are pursuing the full diploma program.
So that's roughly, as a percentage, that's about 10% of our senior class. And by and large, I don't know by how many, but definitely the highest number, other than ISB, who's all kids go full IB for ISB, but the highest number of students in the district. Am I right?
Yeah, we have the most full diploma candidates. We also have the most students who sign up for exams of all the schools.
And that's considering Sunset, Southridge, and us, and we are about 300 kids less than Sunset. So even despite being smaller than Sunset, we still have more kids testing and taking full IB classes or just an IB class because it is part of our course of study. So we're pretty excited about that because that was the vision 5 years ago when we started opening this place, was that it would be a school, an IB school, and not just a school with IB, and that's starting to come to fruition. So. Okay. I don't know if there's any other IB questions. Lots of opportunities in March. We will be forecasting a little later than normal. We started with middle schools. Our counselors have been in the middle schools this week, which has been exciting. And then we start with our high schoolers, our current kids, right before spring break. So I think materials go out right before spring break. Kids will have the opportunity over spring break and then the week after spring break to also do some forecasting. So it'll be right around early April when that information is due. We are going to have a virtual curriculum night on March 31st, where teachers are creating content to push out, but we're also going to have in the evening open sessions for parents and kids to pop in virtually to ask questions of various departments to get some more information before all of their forecasting forms are due. All of this will be in the March Babb Express. That'll be full of forecasting information coming up for sure. We also have the ACT coming up in April. I want to double check. I think it's April 5th. I could be wrong. Let me double check. April 5th, Tuesday. Yes. So on April 5th, our juniors will all be taking the ACT. Our sophomores will take a pre-ACT. Our seniors and freshmen are excused from the day, basically, with the intent that they will work on getting caught up, and or we're going to have sessions. We're going to invite freshmen who are maybe behind credit-wise after first semester or have incompletes from first semester. We're going to invite them in and have some workshops with them to try to get them caught up. But it will not be required of ninth graders to be here on the 5th. We'll just have 10th and 11th graders on that day. Carrie is asking a question. Are there any scholarship opportunities for those who want the full diploma but may not be able to afford all the tests?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So the state of Oregon actually subsidized the test fees. So this year, each test is $94 for students to take those exams. Also, students who qualify under free and reduced lunch get their test fees waived by the state of Oregon, or DE. And we actually, our juniors are working on part of their CAS project, is working on trying to create a scholarship fund for students. So they're reaching out to businesses in our community to do some fundraising for students who are interested in taking exams, whether that's full diploma or just want to take a couple exams, but having that scholarship fund available. So that's something that we are working on this spring in developing.
Yeah, we don't want costs to be an impediment if we can help it. Yeah. Other questions could be related to IB or forecasting or anything else. Happy to answer them. And again, if you don't feel comfortable in this large group session, I am putting the link again in the chat. Nope, that's not right. That's a different link. You don't want to have that link. Here, hold on. But now you know what our testing center schedule is. There you go. Any other questions I might be able to answer? Any final words, Becky or Brooke? Okay. Well, I'm going to stay on this call for as long as possible, considering I already know the morning and how it's gone with my birthday tomorrow. I don't want to go out of this office and see what else is out there waiting. So I might just be on this call by myself. Pretend to work in here the rest of the day. Should have taken a sick day. All right, you guys enjoy a long weekend. Thank you very much for being here, and go Maps.